Let me call your attention to my far left, on the very far wall. I would ask, is Bob Hanson here? Bob, if you would go up and stand very close to that picture. He's in the lead as he hugs the turn during the senior 880-yard race at the Great Lakes Speed Skating Championships. The 1946 event was only hosted in Jamestown. It's the only one they've ever had here. Hanson at 18 was one of the last members of the Fluvanna Speed Skating Club that trained and competed in the outdoor rink in Roseland Park. The oval was laid out at 8 laps to the mile. Local skaters generally competed at all distances. During his athletic career, Hanson, whose highest finish was third in North America, raced against many Olympians, including Bob Hankenbach of Chicago, shown here off Bob Hanson's left shoulder, went on to skate in the Olympics. From left to right, the skaters are Hanson, Tony Caperi from Rochester, Hackenbach, and Dick Dawes of Cleveland, and George Croyer of Buffalo. Isn't that a beautiful picture?
Oh man, tell me about Bob Jackson. Let's get focused. You met Bob Jackson.
I grew up in Elmhurst, Fluvanna, and Bob Jackson had some friends that had summer home down in Elmhurst. And of course, when he came into town, all the Swedes in Elmhurst wanted to go over and shake hands with him. And my dad invited me along, so I wasn't very big, but I got to shake hands with him.
Go ahead.
That's about all I.
You close your eyes. What does he look like? Was he a tall guy, small guy? I mean, I have a hard time just seeing.
You know, I was a little guy, so he probably looked big. No, I really, you know, after that, I tell you the truth, I hardly knew him then, you know, but then as he progressed all through the years, why, you couldn't help but follow him, and, you know, all of a sudden, hey, I shook hands with that guy, you know.
Well, you did something I didn't do, so
Yeah.
congratulations. Well, we're here to talk about you as a speed skater, but before you were a speed skater, how did you get involved in the hockey, or skating period? Did you,
Yeah.
is that something that you...
I was born and raised in Elmhurst, Fluvanna, and just off the lake. And that's in the years when we skated all over the lake, you know. For some unknown reason, we didn't have snow like we have now. Yeah. So on a typical Saturday or Sunday afternoon, Louis Collins and some of them would have skate sail races, and it would be, remember, they'd be just loaded with white sails out there, just like there are, you know, when they have a regatta in the summer. And they sailed from Celeron over to Fluvanna, up to Lakewood and back. And it was quite a thing. I still got two skate sails, yeah, but I haven't skate sailed for about 6 years because we never get good skatable ice on the lake, you know.
Well, describe it.
Describe skate sail?
Yeah.
Triangular.
Right.
Goes like that. It's got a horizontal and a vertical that you hold on to,
Right.
and you lean against the sail. Make sure the wind's coming that way. There's quite a bit of tacking you can do. You know, you can get darn near close to right straight across the wind from it.
I'm not sure I've ever seen it.
Oh yeah.
So this was a popular event on Chautauqua Lake, sponsored by Louis Collins?
Pretty much, yeah. Louis was, you know, he sponsored about everything in those days. There wasn't too many other sporting goods stores around. Lockwood's, I guess, was there, but Louis was active, no question. Yeah, everything we did. In fact, I won my first pair of skates. Louis donated them for planters. Yeah.
When you skated those principally, or at least initially, on Chautauqua Lake?
Yeah, oh yeah. Lakewood had a rink that the fire department had for right up till the war years, I guess. And I don't know. We used to skate over there on a typical night. We'd skate over there and go on the rink and then skate around. I had an old buddy that introduced me into the sign business, Carl Beckstrand, and he had asthma and emphysema and that, but one of the things that he always told me was in the old days he played a French horn, I think it was, in an orchestra out there on the ice.
On the ice?
Now, you probably don't remember it, and I don't.
I don't really remember it, Bob. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. But, yeah, he used to tell me that. He said, "Be colder than the devil out there, you know." That's before they had recordings and stuff like that.
Were there places inland in the city of Jamestown at the time where there was skating?
Yeah, we always had Roseland, as far as I remember. Ever since I was 9, 10 years old, we had Roseland, the big rink at Roseland, which was, it was an 8-lap to the mile, big track. Yeah. The Morton Club, the fire department, kind of initiated that. They kind of started that, you know, went out there and flooded it with their fire hoses, and then the city rec took it over a few years later. And at Roseland, they had a fire hydrant right in the middle of where the Little League field is right now. And they had a house around it where a stove in there. The guys could go in and get warm. But, yeah. And, of course, the early part of the year, we had a huge track. And then as snow came and they plowed and whatnot, the track got smaller and smaller, and it got so in February, we had trouble getting an official 8-lap track on there. Sometimes we squeezed it a little, you know. Some of the times weren't quite official.
Speed skating was the type of skating of choice for males at the time?
Male, female, too.
And female.
Oh, yeah.
Just beating a second.
Yeah.
But figure skating and hockey skating was prevalent?
Hockey wasn't that popular. They skated up there. Some of the old Swedes had a hockey team up at Lakewood, and they had boards that were probably only about that high around the perimeter of the hockey. But and they had a Swedish name for that. Not sure if they played it with a ball or not. Can't think of the Swedish name for it. But a lot of the Swedes, you know, they put on more of an exhibition than anything.
Right.
Yeah. And that was the same, really, with figure skating. I mean, they've come an awful long way. With figure skating here, we had a girl by the name of, what's her name? From Little Valley.
I know who you mean. Bob.
Yeah. She used to come every time we'd have a meet or something. She'd come over and put on an exhibition of figure skating.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But I started in Elmhurst there. I was fortunate enough to have about 6 or 7 guys that we called it the Flavanna Speed Skating Clubs. And there was Hank Hendrickson and Jiggs and Howie Gain and Howie Berg and Wally Carlson. He was our city champion for quite a few years. And those guys all competed against each other, really, both at Lakewood and at Roseland. And we got to go to Cleveland, and we got to go to Erie, and even Salamanca had I had a speed skating team. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, had 2, 3 girls, 2, 3 guys. But that's how I got interested in speed skating. All these guys were around practicing out in front of my house, pretty much. And I started out with hockey, or with hockey. I started out with high tops, leather high tops with clamp-on skates. You know, just like the old clamp-on roller skates. And of course, they wouldn't stay on, so I ended up putting wire around them. And, that's how really I got started. Then I had a cousin that she had a pair of racers, and I got a hold of them and put paper in the toes and whatnot. And, had a guy that said, "Why don't you go down to either Roseland or Lakewood, I don't know, for my first meet?" And I did pretty good. Got a second or a third and got excited. And from then on, it was just gradually growing into it. But we always considered that in Jamestown we were the best. Buffalo, we were the best. Cleveland, we beat all those people. Erie, we did. But as soon as you get out of your neighborhood a little ways and go to Schenectady or out to Detroit, and it's a different ball game. You realize it ain't so good, you know.
Well, talk about the picture that's out there that they're going to dedicate, which you're part of. In fact,
Yeah.
you're leading at that point of
Yep.
the picture was taken.
I didn't win that race. I think I came in third, but I always had a good start, you know. I could beat anyone on the start, but that was in 46, yeah. And we had some good competitors that year. We had Bob Hackenbach that was on the Olympic team, and we had Dick Dose from Cleveland, and 2-3 boys from Rochester. Anthony Calipari was there. We had George Croyer. He speed skated out of Buffalo, but that wasn't his hometown. He was working at Wright Aircraft at the time, and he was also a barrel jumper, and he barrel jumped in ice volleys or capades for a year or two. Nice guy. So we had good competition.
Well, you had good success. What was your highlight, Bob?
Oh, I don't know. Beatty and I used to go every year with Dick Sherman to Schenectady, and they had the New York State Championships there. And we'd get a second or a third. And Beatty at one time, she tied with a girl for first, and I think they had a skate off. And seems though she got beat, I'm not sure. But that was about the closest we came to being New York State champions. It's all Ron Park. This was an indoor. Have you ever heard about that rink?
No.
No? Oh, yeah. This is not artificial ice, but what they had was a small track, and it was undercover. And during spring and fall, when they had ice, if it got real warm, they'd put sawdust down, just like they do in Canada still, for the whole ice. They go out and cut ice in the wintertime, and put it in sawdust. And they'd do that, and then at night they'd scrape it off. And they also had some sort of either canvas or what kind around the outside, so during the day they'd drop that down. If you've ever been in a barn, it stays cooler. It really does. And yeah, well, that's where. Trying to think of the little guy's name. Very interesting, yes. And I met another old timer in Newburgh, and he come over and talked to me, and he said when he was a kid, they used to skate across the Hudson River after 11:30, I think it was, at night, because the last icebreaker went up through there, 11 or so, and of course it was when we had cold weather, And when that ice, when they froze, they got cold enough so it froze and they skated across it. That was a big thrill for them people,
Sure.
Skate through thin ice, just like John was telling about when we were kids. And the earliest I ever skated on the lake was Thanksgiving. And it only lasted until about noon. And after that, you could see pop holes all over where everybody fell in, I mean, we weren't out over our head. So it really wasn't nothing to it to fall in. Our parents didn't like it, but that's the earliest I ever skated on a